had was good.
All right. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Spectrum Podcast. If you guys remember my former co host of the Buckeye Lounge, Sean the Shrock Star, people, we're back.
What up? What up? What
Sean,
up?
tell the people what's up.
Hey, thanks for having me on here.
Yep,
It's a
I was.
pleasure.
Yeah,
Anything?
I'm glad to have you on here. As a matter of fact, I'm sorry, but as a matter of fact, for everybody, yes, you would expect to see James, but he's been busy with college, so I figured out why not call up my original co-host from our time over at the Buckeye Boys to here on the OHL podcast to do the show. After all, this is a topic that you and I really would be discussing a lot of.
Heck, anytime I can kick it with my sister, I'm down. So, thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here. So, let's get to it.
Yeah. Yeah, let's get to it. So, people, the topic of today is who is truly the top blue blood in the college sports. Now, obviously, we know there have been debates. We obviously know that there are some people who put out the most ridiculous graphics, like the one that Sean, Chris, and Alex had talked about over on the OHL podcast, where the graphic was pretty BS, if we're being honest, which I feel like was a full on rage bait, if I'm being honest, because legacy blue blood, Michigan, really, dude. Like you have Ohio State as legacy blue bloods, but not Michigan, who's been irrelevant for God knows how to the effing long today.
I mean, they, if you go back in history, yeah, Michigan is a blue blood, but I mean, honestly, that's like ancient blue blood. I mean, they had so many years of being irrelevant. I mean, Ohio State is basically
Only.
the only team that has never had a big drop off for a period of time. They've never had a rebuilding, era. I mean, it's been maybe 1 year bad, but I mean, each coach had them
Mm.
contending. I mean, they were never relevant. Even in the Cooper years, we didn't win a natty, but we were always in top five, top three. We were competing for one. I mean, we weren't out of the conversation.
Yeah. That's one thing you got to give Cooper is for no matter how much he won beat Michigan, and yeah, he didn't win natties or even a lot of bowl games as he should have. The man kept us relevant, kept us in the top five, never had us falling off. So that's where you got to give him credit for that. But the other thing is too, when you also look at the only blue bloods that are listed above Ohio State, like Alabama, I can understand, even though they've had a bunch of down periods, but they've always had like a guy like a Bear Bryant, Nick Saban. Like, let's be realistic, they've had their moments in the sun. Like even now, while they're not gonna ever be like they were under Saban or Bear Bryant ever again, they're still a contending program for the playoffs, and I don't expect them to have a full on down year with Kalen DeBoer. Like I'm telling you this as Alabama fans. You're not going to find a better coach than Kellen DeBoer. He got you to the playoffs. And let's be realistic, you're probably better off with him as a coach than some of these other coaches because you're not going to get Kirby Smart. You're not going to get any of these other coaches. So you might as well stick with who you got right now until you find somebody better. And right now, you don't have anyone better right now. But as far as all the other blue bloods, like Oklahoma, who's been irrelevant for a while, and I know they won a national title in the 2000s, but they've been irrelevant for quite a while. Same with Texas. Like I'm not gonna lie, they've come around a little bit this year, but around the past like 2 years going to the playoffs. But I'm not gonna be ready to say the Texas Longhorns are back because I'm not in that boat. Like, look, yeah, 2 good years, keep it going, keep it going. But they haven't won anything since 2005. Again, still more relevant than Michigan, who we all know about their little cheating scandal, and that's the only reason they're relevant. Honestly, all the scandals is the only reason they're relevant as of right now. And then who is it else? Notre Dame. When was the last time Notre Dame won anything?
I mean, 1988 is the last time they won a natty, but they had some years in the 90s where they were relevant and they contended, and 2 years ago, I mean, they contended, but they go up and they're there for a while, then all of a sudden you don't hear from them for a long period of time. Then they'll pop up for a little bit for a year or two, then they go back down, then they come up. But I honestly, even though I don't like the guy, TG, I think Marcus Freeman has them in the right direction where they're going to be a consistent program where they're going to win 10, 9, maybe 11 games a year. I think he's got them to that point because they don't have a hard schedule. They're not in a league. I mean, they pick who they want
I
to
mean,
play.
that's Notre Dame's entire history.
Yeah. I mean, I will give them this.
I mean, that's how they managed to.
They did try to get into the Big Ten, and if Michigan weren't racist, Michigan blocked them because they didn't like Catholics and they were racist and did not want the Catholics in the Big Ten, and they blocked them from coming into the Big Ten. Fielding Yost, yes, Michigan, Fielding Yost, your
Yeah.
legendary coach back in the 19, early 1900s. He freaking blocked Notre Dame from coming into the Big Ten because he hated Catholics and he did not want them in the Big Ten.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, and this is really the truth of what you gotta understand about, I would say, oh, and I gotta talk to Eric about the YouTube one because apparently that still hasn't came on for whatever the reason. But yeah, no, when we talk about again with Michigan, again with Notre Dame, they haven't, like, the whole reason they've been able to contend is because of the fact that they have how am I gonna say this? They've always had a soft schedule, and you know the truth about Notre Dame is that the truth about Notre Dame is that this is like whenever they faced soft teams, they were good, but when they faced great teams like your Bamas, your Ohio States, your Georgias, they just got their butts kicked like no tomorrow, and that's always going to be their biggest problem because they don't put themselves through the ringer. Because the one thing about being in a conference is you have, and I mean this when I say this, you have a gauntlet on your hands. You're going to be fighting through a conference every single year. You're going to be battle tested and ready to go to the playoffs by the time you do. And if you have a tough schedule on top of that, like for instance, I think Ohio State's non-conference schedule, the reason why they schedule tough non-conference games is to push themselves beyond belief. And again, for those of you who are on YouTube who might be suffering, just real quick. For those of you who might not be watching on YouTube, again, I will have Eric put this video on YouTube so you guys can do the rewatch because I don't know what is going on with YouTube right now. I don't.
Chris is in the link now.
But
did you see that? Chris is in the comments.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, I see. He says no one likes Notre Dame or that punk Marcus Freeman.
I got your back, Wild Man. Love the guy, man. Wild Man's awesome. But
he is awesome, and I'm not gonna lie. I understand that because you have to be mad at Marcus Freeman at the end of the day. I mean, at the end of the day, the man has said some stuff about Ohio State he probably shouldn't have said.
Exactly. Well, I mean, like Urban Meyer explained this before. He goes, we used to have like a tune-up game, like Bowling Green or one of them smaller conference games. Then we would get a bigger team because we want to see. Kind of like a measuring stick to see where your team's at. You want to see where your team's at going into your conference schedule. Now he goes, nowadays, these guys are getting paid to win games and make the playoffs. He goes, if I want to make the playoffs and that's what I'm getting paid to do, I'm going to schedule the easiest non-conference I can so I don't lose games so I make the playoffs. Because he goes, that's what we're getting paid to do now. He goes, heck with scheduling the tough teams. He goes, I would schedule the easy teams so I can make the playoffs. Problem is, you do that when you get to the playoffs and you haven't been tested, man, you get a quick out or you get embarrassed. I mean, we've seen it happen.
That's just what happened.
I mean, honestly,
that's what happened.
I think that's what happened to us last year a little bit is we didn't really get tested till the end of the year. I mean, we got tested at the beginning with Texas, but, I mean, our schedule, not like they tried to make an easy schedule for us, but it's just the way it fell some years. Some years, the teams that you expect are going to be good aren't going to be good. And they had, a lot of the teams weren't that good last year. And then when they played Indiana and Miami, I mean, that's the first time that they've really seen any adversity since week one. And that was, kind of, I think the more you face adversity, the better off you are going into the playoffs. What do you think?
That's exactly my point. Like, I know, like, we've had some of our own people talking like they don't want Ohio State to have a tough schedule. But, I said it before. Like, I want Ohio State to have a tough schedule because I think it's what's going to battle test them and what's going to make them better. And I think Ohio State wants that. Like, they would tell you straight up. They're like, no, we don't want no easy schedule. Like, what we want is the ability for our players to grow, develop, get better, and for us to get put through the ringer So that way we can that way our players, by the time we hit the playoffs, we actually have already been through the gauntlet. So now we can go through and just win games. I mean, think about it. That's what benefited us. For granted, we didn't have a tough non-conference game because we had to cancel the last one because of Washington coming into the Big
Yeah.
Ten, and we tried to find other teams who could come in, and nobody wanted to play us. But the thing is, we did have Oregon, who was a good team, Penn State, who at the time was a good team, and
Indiana.
Indiana, who was a good team. And not only that, but even a bunch of bowl contending teams as well. So at the end of the day, we managed to pretty much have a tough schedule that put us through the ringer. And look, our arch rival, regardless how much we hate them, is still going to be our toughest competition because of the fact that they have given us the most set of crap. So,
I mean, and you want to be peaking by the time you go to the playoffs. That's when you want to peak. You don't want to peak early in the year. You want to be playing your best football at the end of the season. So that year, 2 years ago when we were heading into the playoffs, yeah, we had that letdown, but man, we were ready. I mean, they were pissed off. They went in there, they lost that game that they shouldn't have, and they came out firing. And I mean, they played with determination, and they were just hitting on all cylinders. And I hope that's what happens because last year when we went in the playoffs, kind of went down with. I mean, we just didn't have that momentum behind us going into the playoffs like we did the year before. Even though we
I
just
think we
lost.
would have had the momentum of the Michigan game, but what hurt our momentum was the whole Brian Hartline getting hired by
Exactly.
USF,
I mean,
and that completely like derailed the whole thing. So I'm like, that year we absolutely would have repeated had that not happened. And look, I'm not mad at Brian for it. He should take the job. Like I'm more mad at the NCAA because it's like your
the
schedule,
calendar.
your whole calendar is so bad to a point where it costed a team from repeating for a national title. And do you want to know this kind of funny fact that I found out about Ohio State?
I'd love to hear it.
Oh no, it's actually kind of it's kind of something that Ohio State should want to push toward because they are the only blue blood program who has never repeated, and one of two because Indiana just won theirs most recently, so obviously they wouldn't have done this either. But one of the
What a
only
blue
Big Ten
blood.
teams who actually have won a national title who didn't repeat either. So I'm like, if you're Ohio State, at some point you gotta win and go back to back because that's kind of embarrassing. That you're the only Big Ten program that had one that you're one of the only Big Ten programs who have won a natty but you didn't repeat. And Indiana's the only other one because they just won one, and they're not gonna repeat this
But
year. I
if
know
you
that for a
look,
fact because from what I've seen in the spring game, they're a good team, but they're not at that level. And then secondly, the fact that you're also the only blue blood who's never done it, like people do tend to forget this. Alabama did do it, 2011 and 2012. They repeated. In
yeah,
2012, they shouldn't have because we should have won it. But guess what? They did.
the thing is though, TG, it's kind of a funny stat because a lot of these teams that did repeated back in the early 1900s when there wasn't playoffs, it was the polls. I mean, so now if anybody repeats now, that's so tough to do with the extended playoffs that they got now. A lot more games. The competition's a lot better. So I mean, I think if anybody now repeats in this era, it's extra special. I mean, it should mean more than the teams in the past repeating. I mean, now when Alabama did it in the 2000s, I mean, they did it, going through the playoffs. Hats off to them. I mean, that's even more impressive than when these other teams did it back in the 60s and the 50s and the 40s when you didn't play
Yeah.
that, you didn't play the national schedule that they play nowadays.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, no. So that's what this whole little thing is going to be about, and I actually do have a whole graph that I had prepared about the pretty much going through the motions of all the teams through 12 categories, which is how do they all rank from top to bottom? And obviously, if you go through the list and you can see it, I have Ohio State 1, Bama 2, Notre Dame 3, Michigan 4, and you'd be surprised that Notre Dame is 3, and I'll get to them in a minute. So Michigan 4, USC 5, Oklahoma 6, and then you have Nebraska and Texas at obviously where they both have been because they haven't been relevant in a long time. And for Texas, it's even more embarrassing because Nebraska's been down for a long time, and you still are like there's the least rated blue blood. That's
Well,
embarrassing.
if you look though, they went through periods of time where they went through longer stretches of being irrelevant. I mean, Oklahoma in the 70s and the 80s, and even in the '90s, when they had when they had Bob Stoops, I mean they were almost like Ohio State where they were staying consistent. Then after Stoops left, I mean they had 1 or 2 years with Lincoln Riley. After that, man, it's been downhill for Oklahoma. I mean, it is what it is. But I mean, Nebraska, they were a powerhouse for a while. Then after Tom Osborne left, man, uh, they've been down in the dumps. And I feel bad for Nebraska because they actually have a really good fan base. They're very supportive of their athletics. That's all that in Nebraska. That's only that's basically their only pro team that they really got out there. And I mean, they sell out every game. They're great loyal fans, diehard fans, and I would love to see them get relevant again to push out. But one thing I love about TG, guys, she's always bringing the stats and she always does her homework and she has the info. So if you're gonna come in here and talk any trash or you're gonna go at this girl, you better have done your homework and be prepared because she's one of the smartest people I know when it comes to podcasting, and that goes for any gender.
Hey, and you're pretty much the best co-host I've had all my life, and you're one of the smartest dudes I know as far as talking sports. Because not a lot of dudes I talk sports with can hang with me. James is one of the only ones I know that can hang with you and me, and everybody else here. Y'all the only ones I know.
I'd say that's one thing I love
But
about the Ohio podcast, TG, is the group of people we have. It's so much fun. I mean, the group that we are in, I mean, everybody brings, a different side to it, brings their own flair, but man, it's just, we have such a great, great group of people, man. Great group of people.
oh yeah, we do. We absolutely do. And as a matter of fact, it's actually one of the reasons why I love being here on the Old Child podcast because it's a great group of people always, and you guys make it worth every while. So now here with the stats I put together, it's all coming down to 12 categories in which I have seen this done before, which proves who is the best program of all time. The categories are all-time record, all-time wins, bowl game records, bowl game wins, aka the all-time wins and bowl games you've played, national titles, conference titles, cons- All Americans, let's just call it that.
Okay.
Consensus All Americans,
Mhm.
Heisman winners, NFL draft picks, the first round draft picks, and your weeks in the AP poll and at number one. Those are the categories that you need to have. Those are the 12 categories you have to be a part of to be considered one of the best as far as that. And for the Blue Bloods, it's going to determine who is the best of all of them, honestly.
I'm surprised the winning percentage isn't.
And that's actually what makes it.
Is winning percentage in there?
These are the.
Winning percentage?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically based. Yeah, like the winning percentage is a part of the all-time
Okay.
record,
Okay.
essentially. And the winning percentage, obviously, the highest is actually Ohio State, funny enough.
'Cause I honestly think that
Which is why they're number one, because of the all-time record.
here's what I think they need to do is they need to go back. Not only to, I mean, a lot of people complain about Michigan's, but they should do it to Ohio State and everybody's. Go back into the history of all their wins, and when they're playing like club teams, that shouldn't count. All those records should be adjusted. I mean, if you're playing club teams or you're playing YMCA's and you're counting that as a win, come on, that is weak. I don't care if it was 100 years ago for you guys to like celebrate that as a win and count that towards one of your all-time wins. That's weak sauce.
Oh, it is. It's 100% weak sauce. And if you ask me about it, I will tell you this straight up that at the end of the day, because with Michigan, it's like it really shouldn't count because it's like all your wins basically do come from that of your 1,000. And honestly, you shouldn't have even got there to begin with because if you ask me, if it weren't for your cheating scandal, you never would have got to the 1,000 wins. As a matter of fact, you'd be third right now in all-time wins behind Ohio State and Alabama. Even with all those club victories, that cheating scandal is what got you over 1,000 wins to begin with. It's what got you there to begin with. And when you really look at like for instance, look at their bowl game record. It is horrible.
I mean, Bo
It is the
Schembechler,
worst of all the Power Five.
they built a statue to Bo Schembechler, and his bowl record was horrible. I mean, Harbaugh's playoff record and bowl records terrible. I mean, he had a losing record against Ohio State, and then he had a losing playoff record and bowl record. I mean, his bowl record is crap. And they're talking about him being a first ballot Hall of Fame coach. Get out of here. Get the hell out of here with that crap.
I'm about to say you better get out with that crap. Get out with that crap. At the end of the day, seriously, get out with that crap. Like, if you really believe that this man is worthy of being a freaking Hall of Fame coach just because, something is wrong. Something is seriously wrong. But yeah, no, like, again, when you pretty much look at it here, like, for instance, the all-time record for Ohio State, Alabama, 990, 330 wins, 337 losses with 53 ties. For Alabama is 985, 345 to 43. You can see that the winning percentage.
One thing I give Bama
Whereas,
credit.
like, Notre Dame is actually third behind them.
The one thing that Bama did,
Go.
I mean, the one thing that Bama does that is better than us is I will give them credit. When they made it to the national championship games, they won more. I mean, they actually, that's one thing. We lost a lot of championship games that we shouldn't have, but I mean, honestly,
Yep.
with Nick Saban, they won a lot more championships, and my hats off to them. I think we have the more consistent program, but they, when it comes to winning championships, they got us there, and
Yeah, that's actually the point.
so
I mean,
yeah.
you got it. Look at that all-time national championships. They lead at 18. Like, for Ohio State, we always look back at it and say, man, we should have won more national titles than we did. And we always say that because our team, for some reason, which I would never understand this with Ohio State. Why is it that we always end up choking when we shouldn't? It's just like something keeping us from, like, it's a question I need to, like, have answered. Because, like I said, it almost feels like as if it's keeping us from the greatness. Because, like, we should have more than Michigan. I'm not going to lie. When you go back and look at how many natties we won, we should have more than these clowns already. We should have more than Notre Dame. We should at least be second to Alabama with how many natties we practically should have won.
But
And instead, we're down here with Oklahoma, Nebraska, and Texas.
hey, I mean, when it came down to it, they did it, and we didn't. I mean, Woody Hayes, he won five titles, and he should have had probably five more. One wasn't his fault. He got screwed by the
Probably.
administration, and they had an undefeated season, and they were invited to go to the Rose Bowl, and the board of trustees would not let them go because they said football is becoming more important than academics. So he had an undefeated team ranked number one that was ready to go to the Rose Bowl, and they would not let the kids play. Ohio State board of trustees would not let them. It was like 60. I would like to say 61 or 62. Back then, they blocked
Yeah.
them from doing it. But I mean, what do you
And
have?
we should have won a natty. That's why the administration back then really makes me angry, because it's like, if you're really looking at how much football has really become, it even makes you look stupid, because it's like, if you just let Woody play in the Rose Bowl, if you just put football first, because football was going to be the thing that ended up engineering Ohio State as far as a program and generate the money. I don't think that's the part they understood at the time, and I think that kind of now some of them kind of look back and regret not letting him play, because it's like, dang,
Well, they were jealous.
we probably could have had another.
I mean, they were jealous.
Jealous of what? He's the coach that you hired.
Well, they're jealous because football is becoming more important. They thought Woody's becoming bigger than the university, and that football was becoming more important than academics there. I'm just like, well, how many people pay to come watch you guys take a math test? Nobody. If it wasn't for the
Right.
football team bringing all that money into Ohio State, you wouldn't have all the great classrooms. You wouldn't have all those big buildings. I mean, that's why people
Right.
donate to Ohio State because of the football program. So, I mean, Woody brought in so much money, and you guys got into it was basically a pissing contest, and they were jealous of Woody. Was getting to be too big for his bridges, and they tried to send him a message, but I mean, you ended up hurting yourself more than you hurt him. You freaking idiots. So,
Exactly. You basically did yourself the hugest disservice of a lifetime because why? You just let Woody play. You just do what you're supposed to do as a program and just leave it alone. Maybe just maybe we would have at least 10 natties instead of just 9. And again, like you said, Woody should have won more. But
Oh, he
that's where we're
choked.
at.
I mean, he
But
choked in a lot of games.
yeah,
And you know what? You got to tip
he
your
did.
cap. You got to tip your cap because a lot of those USC teams that he lost to in the Rose Bowl were great teams and they
They were
had great
elite.
players. I mean, they played some great
They were
teams
great.
back then, but I mean, honestly, they should have had. I mean, Woody probably should have had three more at least. That's being. I mean, there could have been a lot more, but man, he had the greatest college football running back of all time, Archie Griffin, and he never won a natty with him. Never
No.
won
And
a
that's
natty with
that's
him.
so That's so disappointing. But here's the one thing too that you can also say because we talk about like the all time wins, but the one thing you also can use to tell how great you've been is looking at how many weeks you've been in the AP poll and how long you've been in number one.
Yeah.
And guess what? Ohio State became and practically has been the only program to get there about 1,000 times, and they've been at number one for 120. Now, obviously, that's second to Alabama, who's been there more, especially under the Saban and Bryant era. But when you pretty much look at it, to see the fact that Ohio State's been there so many times from a historical standpoint, and like you compare it to our arch rival Michigan, who is right here at number 5, and if I'm going down at it, is only 943. Brother, that's just that. Like, I don't care what your 1,000 would say. Like, it really just because if you telling me you ain't been in the AP for as long as, because if you gonna have the 1,000 wins, at least have that time amount in the AP poll to use it, as well as your bowl game record, as well as weeks at number one. Because man, ain't that pathetic? This 36 weeks compared to everybody else, where you are pretty much the only blue blood who ain't even crossed that number one in a long time. And the 3 times this century you've been there, the one time you have cheating scandal 2021. I mean 2023, I should say 2023. That's the one time you've been at number one. The one time. And it's all because of a scandal. Like, it's the one thing about this program that no one will ever understand is how did a scandal get to this point?
Well, that's how it got to it because they got tired of losing so much that they had to they would sell their souls to get a championship, and that's what they did. They didn't care what they had to do it.
Yeah, you sell yourself. You sell your souls, and then when you also look at it, we talk about it like this. Also goes back to like the NFLU, which is why Michigan's not in that conversation because their players tend to suck. They may have a few good players here and there, but mostly they tend to suck. First round picks, you only have 55. The only teams that are even below you are basically Oklahoma and Nebraska, and they've actually turned out better players than you. So I'm still gonna try to figure out exactly how in the world do you keep getting first round picks? I don't care what their brand name says. Like, let's be realistic. What you do on that football field matters. And then when you also compare it to their draft picks, it's kind of like, I mean, at least you're ahead of Bama. At least you're ahead of Nebraska. At least you're ahead of Texas, right?
I mean,
Well, actually, no, you're not ahead of Texas. Actually, you're ahead of Nebraska and Alabama, and that's it.
if you look, there was just, Michigan was pumping out the players in the early 1900s. A lot of it was before when they were, really good, and then the AP poll was like in the, early 1900s, mid 1900s. Hasn't been,
Yeah.
besides that time in the, when they were cheating. Other than that, they really haven't been at the top of the AP poll except 97 and, maybe 2000 and what was it, 2007 when when we were
Yeah.
with, they're at the top with us when we played them 1 versus 2. But honestly, there really hasn't been. They haven't been at the top. I mean, it is what it is. But you guys were a blue blood before the AP poll, and that's when you guys dominated. It's just facts.
Yeah. Yeah. Basically, and then also look at it too from this standpoint as well. Like consensus All Americans, as we talked about it, is another one. For Ohio State, we already know it's 95, but that's second to Notre Dame, which I find very impressive because Notre Dame's it's kind of so shocking about me with this when it comes to Notre Dame. They used to have such great players back in the day. The fact that they have 110 All-Americans is beyond belief impressive when you got to look at it.
I mean,
Especially compared to this program who always brags all the time.
Notre Dame for the long time was the mark that you wanted to go after. I mean, they were the top tier. I mean, with Newt Rockne, Ara Parseghian. I mean, those guys had the program. I mean, Notre Dame was it for the longest time. I mean, everybody respected them. Everybody wanted to be like them, and they always pushed out, a lot of great players. I mean, they have a lot of pros. There's no doubt about it. But now, if you look at it, now we're the benchmark. We're the team that everybody wants to be like.
Yep. Yeah, and it's funny for Notre Dame. It's like you used to be such an elite program, and when you see how far you've fallen, it's the fact that you are dead last, like even less than Nebraska as far as bowl games played, which makes me question how the heck did that happen?
That's nuts to
And
me.
you have an easy schedule. You should be in bowl games all the time.
That blows me away because, I mean, when I was a young kid, they were awesome. It's just after Lou Holtz left, that program went down. I mean, Lou Holtz had them at the end. I mean, he won a national championship, then he had them contending. Then after he retired, it was just hasn't been the same. I mean, they've had blimps where Brian Kelly had them being good for a couple years here and there, but it was kind of like a glass tiger, They weren't really, they had that easy schedule. When they went to the national championship game against Bama, we saw what happened. They got curb stomped. I mean, it wasn't even a game.
That's what we're talking about right there. And think about it too. Like, what makes it even more sadder is the fact that, like, you've only been the 46. You've had 7 Heisman winners, which is the exact amount of right here Oklahoma and Ohio State. So, like, you've had 7 Heisman Trophy winners, who only had 3, which all 3 resemble from the state of Ohio. Remind Michigan,
from
you
Michigan.
only exist because of Ohio.
Well, one was from Michigan. Tom Harmon was from Michigan, I believe. So, but Desmond Howard and Charles Woodson are from Ohio. So, I mean, most of their best players came from the state of Ohio. There's no doubt about that.
Oh yeah, now they can't even access the state like that because no one thinks it's cool to play for Michigan unless you're a Michigan fan.
They still get a couple every now and then, but that's usually the guys that we don't want.
Typically. And here's what's even funnier too about it. Now, when you kind of think about it from Michigan's standpoint, because you guys talked about how, like, in their talent, like in their state, the high school football isn't very good. But think about it like this as well. Even when there is good talent that comes out of that state, and there is from time to time,
Yeah.
they don't go to Michigan at all. They go anywhere else but Michigan because they don't think it's cool to play for that university. And that's what I'm like, Michigan, that's pretty pathetic that even if an elite talent does come out of your state, they don't want to go to you. They would go anywhere else but you, including to your arch rival.
Well, look at Bryce Underwood. He did not want to be part of that school. He badmouthed them. He talked so much crap about them. And their fans, they trashed that kid. Oh, he's all about the money. We don't need him. We want players that are all about the team. He's not about the team. He's just looking for money. We don't want him. He lives a half hour from your university, and you had to give him $16 million to get him there. Then these clowns want to tell us, TG, well, Bryce is a Michigan man. He loves the state of Michigan. He loves the university.
No, he's not.
He loves the money. That's what he's about. And you can see it in the way he
Right, and you guys literally just said that not that long ago.
Exactly.
Like, how
What's the
the
narrative
only
all
reason
the
he paid your money.
For
Like, the
clowns.
second you paid him, that's what it took. Was the second you paid him, he said, okay, I'm coming to Michigan. And guess what? derail your freshman quarterback's ability to get developed. Because I would love that more than anything.
Uh, you know what? And the kid is more worried about taking taking pictures with fans. He's more worried about the off the field stuff. He's not putting the work in. He doesn't have the worth
No,
ethic. I
but
mean,
why would you? Why would you when you're getting paid all that money? And honestly, I don't think any of the Michigan players are when you think about it. Because I want you to think about it like this: that all of the Michigan, do they really have anybody that pushes them? Just think about it like this: for Ohio State, you have you have depth. What is that noise?
it was a. I had my window open lawnmower. Sorry.
It's all right. But I was about to say this. For Ohio State, you know how we said that we would never see depth again in college football with the transporter and NIL? You notice how for Ohio State that hasn't been the case? Like,
Well,
as if the depth for them has gone upwards because it seems like we've gotten even deeper. 24, we were deep. 25, we were deep. But 2026 looks like this team's even deeper than those two. And we have some talent on those teams. But when you really look at it, I'm like, well, these are players who I don't believe are going to leave like some of the other ones have. It's kind of like when I look at Ohio State, I think this team might have depth for years to come because of how they develop and how they're taking recruiting in a different circle, especially with the transfer portal, because like we see how they're doing it now. Whereas with teams like Michigan, you don't have no depth. Like at least for the Ohio State players, they know that if it ain't on their A game, there are players who will step in and take their spot automatically.
exactly.
There are players who will step in and take their spot. At Michigan, who you got?
I mean, besides, I mean, there's a couple position spots that they got depth at. I will give them that, but it's not like Ohio State where the whole team is everywhere's got depth. I mean, before it was easy to stack all these kids on before the transfer portal, because if a kid wanted to leave, they had to wait out. They had to sit out a year. So these coaches would just they had control over these kids, and they're just like, well, if you don't stay here, if you want to leave, it's gonna cost you a year. So they were kind of stuck. So now with the transfer portal, these kids after a year or two, if they're not playing, they can say see ya and take off. So, I mean, it's really changed the game. I mean, it's even things out where teams can't stack the talent like that. But I think it's hurt kids in a way because they haven't been able to develop. You know what I mean? These kids, they're so worried about playing early and not getting developed. They just want to get there. They want money. They want to play. And some of them aren't ready for that. And I think it's really the transfer portal. The one thing it did do is hurt the development of some of these younger players.
Oh, absolutely. And as a matter of fact, this is what I will say about that as well, is that this is what will hurt players moving forward. Because, and again, we shouldn't expect the top to do anything because I think this is what they wanted. In a sense,
Oh,
like
yeah.
they wanted these players to just, because they're like, they don't care for these kids. It's like, look, y'all want them to get paid now. This is all on you. And now we don't have any order. We don't have any bosses. So we got to figure out how to delegate it for ourselves. But here's what I will say, and it's this. At least for Ohio State, and I mean it in this whole stance, that they have a culture and everything put in place to a point where they're able to identify even the like most lowly, like most like underrated talent.
Hmm.
But at the same time, they're able to get high-end talent who are like your Jeremiah Smiths, like your Caleb Downs, like your Marvin Harrison Juniors, where they're the best players, but they work the hardest and they fit everything you want. And like I see it, when it comes to the players, um, I really do believe that I really do believe that what Ohio State's doing is what's going to keep them at the top for years to come. Because remember, we just talked about this before the show even started. Like, go back and look at Indiana's spring game and Ohio State's spring game. Now, we know spring games don't always matter because, like, spring games have their little tips and terms. But here's where spring games do matter because it does allow you to evaluate players based on the little things like techniques, like what we seen with Tavius Sinclair. While his numbers of 9 and 21 didn't look good, go back and look at his tape.
Hmm.
The mechanics look good. The play looked good. He's got a few little adjustments he may need to make in his throwing, like so that way the receivers aren't like waiting for the ball to come to them. They can just go. But those are just the little adjustments he's got to make. But it shows that this kid is special and he's going to be a star for Ohio State. Whereas for, like I said, for a place like, whereas for like Indiana, they're a good team, but they don't have depth like that. Like they're not at the same level. And not only that, but when you look at Ohio State's depth with guys like Epi Satonle that we have, guys like Philip Bell and Desi Jones, and we did forget to talk about these guys because we don't hear about them a lot. But these dudes did play in the spring game, and they played pretty dang well. I mean, think about it. Rudolph or you know the receiver I'm talking about, number
Adolf.
82. Yeah, Adolf. He played really well, honestly. Like when you pretty much look at the depth Ohio State has across from quarterback all the way to the defensive backs, from offense straight to defense, it's so much depth that you're like, okay, if injury happens, we're not too worried because now we know we got people who can step in and take their place. I mean, dude, look at our linebacker room.
Oh
You
my
know, we
God.
thought we never see, dude, we never thought we'd see another freaking Arvell or Sonny with the freaking athleticism they had. Freaking Sincere Johnson said, hold my Gatorade. Hold
Yeah.
my Gatorade. I
Then
got you. Let
then
me
you
show
got,
you the freaking.
I mean, you got Preston Pearson. You got freaking Eli. Eli Lee. People are sleeping on that. Kid's out there making
Oh, yeah.
plays, and Garrett Stover. Then you got Riley Pettijohn. You got T.J. Alford. Both those guys are freaks that can go sideline to sideline and take your head off. They can cover. I mean, Sincere Johnson. I mean, my gosh, that kid is a physical freak. If you he looks like a superhero. You know, like you see from Marvel. I mean, like someone just sculpted the kid, man. I mean, at 18 years old. Thank you, Ted Ginn Sr. in Glenville, for keep pumping that Glenville pipeline to Ohio State, baby. Because, Arvell and Sincere, then it's just going to keep going on and on and on, man.
Yeah, oh, it is, man, and that's why I'm so happy. And like you talked about it, Eli Lee just showed you, like, don't underestimate me. I'm a pretty athletic linebacker myself. They got T.J. Alford, Reggie, like Riley Pettijohn with how great they were. Garrett Stover was moving around like we all saw. Peyton Pierce. Like, I can see why James Laurinaitis says, hey, this guy reminds me of me. Peyton Pierce reminds me a lot of me. He does. Like, he reminds me a lot of Larry Johnson in the way he plays. As far as, like, I mean, I think he's more athletic than James Laurinaitis ever was. But, shoot, he plays like James Laurinaitis in so many senses. It's like,
See,
we're going to find another one like
I
that.
think James was a little more athletic than him, but I think he's he was stronger built, like, more of a thumper than what James was. So I think James was a little more, athletic wise, moving around, but I mean, that's not to take anything away from Preston Pierce, take anything away from Peyton Pierce. I call him Preston Pierce. Peyton Pierce. I mean, Peyton can move around. He's that traditional, 4-3 inside linebacker that's gonna just fill the gap and take the running back's head off, which I love. And he made some interceptions last year. The guy's got some skill. I mean, the kid's just not a one-trick pony. He can cover too, but that linebacker room is the best in the country, and I am so excited about those kids because you know what? If one goes out and they bring another one in, we're not going to lose a beat. TG, we're not going to lose anything.
Yeah.
There's no reason why our
Oh, yeah.
special teams can't be, fired too, having these guys playing. All these freaks that we got and athletes that aren't starting should be all starting special teams.
They absolutely should. And at the end of the day, it's one of those where when you pretty much look at this team, and like I say, when I look at this data from the Blue Blood Sports and all of them, it's like, nah, these teams right here, when you pretty much are trying to figure out who's the best at it, it's not just based on just data itself, but even what you see on the field and how it's translated to that data. Like I said, Ohio State, and trust me, we're not the only ones. Because have you ever heard of a college football with Sam? Have you ever heard of that podcast?
Yeah, he's great, dude. Sam's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, if you listen to him too, like he a Michigan fan, and even he's telling like Michigan, hey, dude, Ohio State's the best program. They ain't no if, they ain't no ands, they ain't no buts. They are the best program in all of college football right now, and they are the program that we need to be paying the most attention to as of right now. And I'm not gonna lie, it's something that's awesome for me in a lot of ways. And like I said, for those of you who are coming up on Facebook, great to see you, Troy. Like I said, for those of you coming up on Facebook, I would advise you to go to Facebook or X because for some reason, like I said on YouTube, it just is not working. I don't get why, but I'll have Eric or Chris figure that out. Maybe to upload, like I said, to upload the stream on there. Like it says we're playing, but like if you go to the actual thing on YouTube, it's not playing
Not
for
fine.
some reason. Like it's still on.
Like
Yeah, it's
what?
still on
What?
like this pause. So I'm just gonna.
But yeah,
All right.
I'm
Oh yeah,
excited.
and I did. Yeah, Chris did. We'll talking about 2-3 hours. So it's like, you know,
Indiana.
when he
You
gets
know,
back home.
I think if Indiana keeps having the success, their recruiting is going to get much better. And then they'll build that depth. I mean, if they keep going like they're going,
It's if.
they're going to get that depth like Ohio State has. I can see it happening too. So
You know what I'm thinking though? I do see a problem. Like I said, I do think that Indiana will be a good football team for years to come. I don't think they'll be at that elite level like Ohio State is, but I think they'll be better than like most teams are right now. I'll tell you that right now.
one good
And
thing.
plus, we also do need to talk about that, by the way, as well, as to why they keep getting disrespect.
Well, oh, you know what? One thing Signetti's good at is evaluating talent. I mean, he finds those
Mhm.
kids that they might be a step down competition wise, but he'll go to those smaller schools and he'll find those guys and he'll bring them in, and I mean they're balling out. I mean, a lot of those guys he brought from James Madison,
Yeah,
smaller programs. I mean, they won a national championship with those guys. I mean, I told everybody last year
they did.
we brought Mendoza in. I said this is the most underrated guy in the portal.
Which I don't understand how he is, given how good he was at California. Like he was
Exactly.
really good.
No
Now I
one
get it.
was
The ACC defenses are ass, but still, California wasn't great.
Everybody overlooked him, and I was screaming it to people. I said, this kid is being overlooked. He was, an underrated get in the portal, and he got another quarterback this year from TCU, Hauser. This kid, he is awesome. He just didn't have the talent. He had one great receiver that he had to throw to at TCU, but man, the kid is a baller, and I'm telling you, don't sleep on Hauser and don't sleep on Indiana again, because I'm telling you, I don't know if they have enough to make it to the title game, but I think they're gonna be right up there making knocking on the door for the playoffs.
Yeah, I'll say that. And here's what I will say about Fernando too, because some people are skeptical of how successful he will be in the NFL. And point taken, because I brought it up on the watch along with Eric and Tyler and Donald, who was on there when we were doing the draft watch along. And I did say this, which is when it comes to Mendoza, I like what Indiana's doing, but here's a problem. What they do is going to halt quarterback development because the offense they're running is a RPO offense. Hey, trust me, you're not going to run that in the NFL. You can't run that in the NFL.
No. Quarterback to
You
back.
just can't because teams know how to stop it. Teams know how to stop it. And Mendoza does have weaknesses like his inability to read over the middle of the field, read, anticipate, and throw. Like, I'm not saying he can't do it, but if you watch the games he's played, even at California, you can see that was a very clear trait. Like he struggled over the middle of the field. And what you're going to be doing, and what you think you're going to be doing in the NFL?
Throwing the ball.
You'll be throwing over the middle of the field a lot. The 10 to 19 yards, you're going to be throwing in that range. He struggles with that. If he's going to survive in the NFL, it's not just learning how to play out of center. You have to learn how to read and anticipate over the middle of the field. Like, for instance, there's one play that is such a common NFL play that any quarterback who's playing in the NFL is going to know how to use this play. You know that dig route that we see?
Yep.
The simple concept of what we see with the dig route. There's a play that we use. It's called the dig. And I've seen them use it at Indiana. He could not throw that. It was like he couldn't read it. He couldn't anticipate it. He couldn't even get the ball there. It was like, dude, that's the most basic NFL play there is. So, like, if you don't even know that, you're going to struggle in your first time, which is why I'm going to say this for Fernando, because I know Jake Butt said he could probably take over for Kirk Cousins. I'm like, I hope he doesn't, because he shouldn't. He needs to sit behind Kirk Cousins and learn how to get over that intermediate part of the field, because And I know what a lot of people think of Ty Simpson, but I've gone back and watched his tape, and that's the thing that he is better than Mendoza. The problem is he's just too inconsistent. Like, with proper coaching, Ty Simpson can actually be a franchise quarterback. I'm not saying this out of, like, oh, like, I think Ty Simpson is. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying from what I've seen of Ty Simpson, his abilities and what he has shown, he has the ability to be a NFL franchise quarterback because he can make the NFL throws. He can. He just doesn't do it consistently. He's too inconsistent, especially when he's under duress. And let's be real, at Alabama, they had a crappy offensive line, no run game, and Ryan Williams, who's supposed to be the best receiver on that team, forgot how to play football.
Isn't that crazy? I've never seen anything like that before. Where a kid
I never had
with that talent just all of a sudden it's like he fell off a cliff. I'm like, what the hell happened to
So
that
it's
kid?
what they call a sophomore slump is what they calling that. Like, I've never seen none like that.
Slumps, but my gosh, that's beyond a slump. I mean, honestly. It's like, my gosh,
I'm
kid.
like, dude, you forgot
Are you
how to play
high?
football,
Are you
my
high or what? It's like, man,
right? Like,
man,
so, like, I couldn't blame Ty Simpson a lot because there are a lot of passes he had that were on point that Ryan Williams just dropped. And I will say this, he does have some off-target throws when he's under duress. But with the proper coaching, because I think he's going to get great coaching with Sean McVay. He's going to get excellent coaching. And he's
I
going
just think
to
they
learn
reached
from
for him.
behind back at Stanford.
I just think that they reached for him, honestly. And if I'm Matthew Stafford,
I don't think any quarterback in this. I don't think any quarterback in this draft should have been taken in the first round at all. I think most of them should have been second to third rounders. That's where I think Fernando and Ty should have been. Is late first, second rounders at least. Like, don't put them all the way up in the mid to early first round because there are issues with their game that need to be fixed and solved. Now, again, with Fernando, it's going to take a lot more coaching because he's got to get that RPO system out. Because, like I said, Indiana's RPO system halts quarterback development, and it will not work in the NFL. Classic example, go back and look at the Ohio State game. Look at how Matt Patricia, a NFL D coordinator, shut down that whole offense. Yes, Indiana got a couple of big plays in, but understand they could not score on Ohio State's defense the way they were scoring on everybody else. Why? Because Matt Patricia knew exactly what kind of offense you were running, and he knew how to stop it. Because that's what they did in the NFL. They knew how to stop the RPO, so teams weren't doing that no more. That's why it's fading out in the NFL. Whereas for Ty Simpson, say whatever you want about Kellen DeBoer, I will say his offense does translate to the NFL. I mean, look at what it's done for Michael Penix.
Yeah.
And what he's doing for the Falcons. So, like, for Ty Simpson, you practically were in an NFL structure offense. I mean, Ryan Grubb just came back from the NFL coaching the Seattle Seahawks. So, like, it's not like as if this man came from a bad offense. Now, I will say there are a couple of little collegey things with that offense that they need to take out and make it full-on NFL. But it's still more of an NFL offense that can help quarterback development in a longer run than what Indiana offense does. So I will say that for Ty Simpson, you do have a better chance because all you need is proper coaching to fix your mechanics, to be more consistent, and to keep your eyes consistently. Because let's be real, there are times he's shown that with his eyes, he can be consistent looking down the field and it's all on point with his mechanics. But then there are times it's not because he's under duress a lot. So he's got to learn how to handle that. Whereas for, again, a guy like Fernando Mendoza, he's definitely got to learn how to do that.
Well, let's not forget.
You got to learn how to do that now.
Ty Simpson only played for a year. Only started a year. So, the kid, he's basically, only got 1 year experience, so he's really young. I think with the proper coaching, like you said, I think he's going to be he could be great, but I think the best thing for him is he's going to a great system with Sean McVay. He's going to be able to sit behind a Hall of Famer, Matthew Stafford. He's going to get to learn. Mendoza, I think if he gets the proper coaching, which he's got all the tools that you need to be a good quarterback, I think he'll be really good. It depends on the coaching. And Kubiak's a great coach. So, I can see him turning out to be a really good quarterback.
I mean, I look at Fernando and say he could have been a Buckeye quarterback, and under Ryan Day, this man definitely would have been ready for the NFL at that point because Ryan Day runs a NFL-like offense. I mean, think about what he's got here with Arthur Smith. Like, he wants a NFL offense. Like, we all kind of wonder, because remember, a lot of Buckeye fans used to ask, why doesn't Ryan Day run the RPO? He's like, because that's not going to work in the NFL, so I don't want my quarterbacks getting used to running that. I don't want my quarterbacks learning that. That's not going to be useful. Yeah, that may work in college, But in the NFL, that's not going to work. Like, I might use that for college, but I will tell my quarterback straight up, do not expect to use that in the NFL a lot. You may see it every now and again in the NFL if it's not expected.
Yeah.
But no, like you do not expect to be running that because trust me, it's not going to work. I promise you, it's not. It's
They
not.
paid the quarterbacks way
And
too
that's
much
just how Ryan
money.
did it.
They do not want their quarterbacks getting their heads taken off running the ball that much out of RPOs. I mean, your quarterback's going to get killed in it. I mean, so they don't allow that
Yes,
in the NFL because all those defensive players all run like a 4.5, 4.3, 40 and are monsters, or they'll kill your quarterback. Not like you get to play Purdue in
100%.
NFL. You know, there's no Purdue's in the NFL, so
Oh yeah.
or Ball
I
State,
mean,
or
I mean,
I mean, so let's
yeah, like they're not gonna like yeah, you're not playing garbage teams, man. You playing legitimate freaky athletes. And like I said, Mendoza does got a couple of good things that work for him in the NFL, like being able to read and throw consistently to the boundary. Like that does you are supposed to be able to do that in the NFL, and that's what he does pretty well.
you got
His
a great
deep down the
arm.
field throws, I'm not gonna lie, they can be good. They can be good, but sometimes his mechanics where he leaves them underthrown and you don't want to do that. So he does got to fix that. There are a couple things he's got to fix, but like I said, it's a lot more with him. It's more of coaching him the NFL way and getting him out of that RPL system because that's not going to work. Whereas with Ty Simpson, it's like, well, he's already been in a situation like a quarterback, but the thing, all he needs to do is just get consistent.
And
That's all
experience
he's got to
too.
do in the NFL way as more. So that's all it is. And like I said, I do think Fernando has the ability to be a good quarterback. It's just going to be how well is he going to be coached and how well is he going to be able to read over that intermediate part of the field. Because again, if you can't read over that, you're not going to survive. How good of a deep ball thrower you are. That intermediate is where the money's at.
Now, TG, out of all of our Buckeyes that got drafted, who do you think ended up in the best situation for themselves? Like, I mean, what what
Ooh.
guy do you think is going to a place where he's going to fit in? He's going to have the proper coaching, where it's going to be a system where he's going to flourish and be, great.
I would say Caden Curry.
Caden Curry.
With the Indianapolis Colts. I would say, yeah, I would say with the Indianapolis Colts. Because, I mean, I think Caden Curry would fit anywhere, but I would say with what the Indianapolis Colts got going on over there with the coaching, with everything they have built in there, he has a great chance to be a great player at at the Indianapolis Colts. He really, really does. So I think he ended up in the best situation. Like, I do think the Giants will be good in the future. With Arvell Reese, I do think the Commanders will go back to being good. They just dealt with a lot of injuries. And I'm not gonna lie, for the Cowboys, keep drafting Buckeye players. You might find yourself in a good situation. The only thing I will say about these teams is the Giants still got a lot more rebuilding to do because they got a lot more issues they need to fix. Same with the Commanders, they still got some issues they need to fix. But again, it won't be as bad as it was this past year because of injuries. And like I said, for the Cowboys, I mean, the biggest thing is you need to get rid of Dak Prescott. He's just terrible. I'm sorry. You need to get rid of this dude because it's not going to help you. He's just not. I'm sorry. Like, maybe you could keep him there if you decide to draft a quarterback so that way you could develop one that could take his place. I can understand that. But no, y'all need to get rid of him. The Saints, I'm not going to lie, the Saints are a good team, actually, when you look at it. They just need good quarterback play,
Well,
which they
They
still
took
have.
they took CJ. I mean, they signed CJ Donaldson and they signed Malone, didn't they?
Yeah, like your defense is gonna be good. Like their defense is already good. Adding those two, like adding CJ Donaldson to the offense as a backup to Alvin Kamara is actually a good idea.
Good
And
kid.
for
Yeah.
them having Taiwan Malone on the D line, especially with Chase Young over there, actually will help, especially on the middle of the D line. And then on top of that, you also have Chris Olave over there. You got Pete Warner who's still playing for the freaking Saints, which again, it's amazing to me how freakishly athletic that white linebacker is. It's ridiculous. It's like that man is freakishly athletic. And I still go back and look at him and say, where the heck was this at Ohio State all these years, dude?
Well,
Like, you've never shown this athleticism.
can you give that to Kerry Combs? Going to have him covering receivers instead of Tough Borland,
Yeah, I feel. Look, I'm not gonna blame Tough Borland. It's
No,
like that wasn't
that
his
was
fault.
that
I'm
was
sorry.
that was like
Terrible.
that was so bad coaching and put him in such a bad spot. I felt so bad for that kid. I tell you what move I really liked that I think is going to give this kid a chance to make a football team is what happened with Ethan. He got
Yes,
drafted by the Falcons, and the Falcons have one of the best offensive line coaches in the country
the country.
with Bill Callahan. Bill
Yes.
Callahan is the Falcons line coach. When he was with the Browns, look what he did with DeJuan Jones. He got DeJuan playing at a
Hmm.
high level. He got,
I'm not gonna
I
lie.
mean, I
I'm not
mean,
gonna lie. Like that's the other one too, because I was gonna say that too. Like the second one would be Ethan. Now the best to me is Caden because he's actually on a team that can compete in the playoffs.
you know,
But Ethan, I'm not gonna lie, he is in a great situation because as an offensive lineman, you're with a great offensive line coach. It's like, and trust me, I think the Falcons do see something in Ethan because they're like, he's got the measurables. We've
exactly.
seen from his tapes that he's got some skill. It's just that did he develop with the Buckeyes or did they just have better tackles better than him? Because I'm not gonna lie, I don't think that Ethan was bad. I just think that both Philip Daniels and Austin Servo were both better than him. And that's not a knock. That just tells you how good they were.
Or was it a scheme fit problem? Maybe he just didn't fit the
Might have been a
scheme.
scheme problem as well. And that's the other thing too. I think if he came to Ohio State when Chip Kelly was here, oh, he would have been a great offensive lineman. And Justin Fry too, because
Yeah,
Justin Fry doesn't
exactly.
really miss on his. I mean, think about it. We got Joshua Simmons out of the portal, and no one heard of him. And look what happened. He became a first round draft pick.
Look what he
And
did
he's
with Trevor
playing for the Kansas
Baldwin.
City Chiefs. We need an offensive line.
That
Yeah.
Butler would have been a
So,
first round draft pick if he didn't blow his knee out or his Achilles out.
oh yeah. His Achilles, oh yeah, he definitely would have been a first round draft pick in my opinion. I know for a fact Seth McClellan would have been a first rounder had it not been for that. Then,
And
and think about it for Ethan, if Justin Fry was still here and you actually had an offensive scheme fit that fit you, I think you actually would have been a first round pick as an offensive lineman. Now, I will say this him getting drafted does make it to a point where Ohio State has now the most offensive linemen, most defensive linemen, most wide receivers, and most defensive backs drafted in the NFL since the 2000s. All four of those positions. And Ohio State's actually top 10 in the other three that I did not name, which is ridiculous. Oh, and did you also see this too? That Ohio State became the first tight end of became the first program of this decade to have two tight ends drafted in the same draft. Think about that. We have
well,
not, like, we don't have superstar tight ends, but yet we had
no.
two drafted in the same draft. What?
That was what was crazy about the draft is all of a sudden went on a run of tight ends, and you never see that. I mean,
Right.
they interviewed Andrew Berry of the Browns. The Browns GM. He goes, the one thing that I did not anticipate in the draft was the run on tight ends. He goes, I thought I was going to be able to get me a blocking tight end, here and the later rounds. He goes, all of a sudden everybody was just taking them all. I've never seen anything like that. He goes, I did not anticipate that.
I don't think
You
anybody ever did. He's talking about the COVID year when we had
know,
Tough Borland and then with Kerry Combs.
yeah.
Like, and he ain't wrong. We did have like 20 players down. Like, we were down almost half our dang team.
We were missing a lot
Most of
of.
our team.
We were missing almost our whole starting
Whole team.
defensive line in that game. But I mean, having Tough Borland trying to cover.
I mean, anybody else but him. Anybody
I mean,
else still.
the poor kid tried his hardest, but man, that was such a mismatch. And not to go into zone and to have that guy and covering him man to man. That's just. I'm sorry. That's.
That was stupid. Yeah, that was just stupid on Kerry Combs' part. But yeah, no, and then not only that, but like I said too, but also think about it like this too, because for Arvell Reese and Sonny Styles getting drafted, we became the only school in history of college football to have two linebackers drafted in the top 10.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. I'm like, man, Ohio State's just rewriting history books, ain't they?
Well,
Man,
so
a
happy for
bunch
those
of
kids.
history. In that one draft, and think about it, we actually had 11 players drafted. We were this close to hitting on the 2016 draft for 12.
Man.
And not only that, but this class, like, this is the most, like, I forget, I don't know, this is like the top 10, I believe. And out of all the single draft classes that have taken place in all of the college football teams, there's been like, we had 7 and 15 out of the 15 we had before this one. Now we have 8 and 16 of these classes, which
You
is
know,
the
It's crazy.
ridiculous.
It's all the starters on our national championship team on the defense was drafted. All the starters were drafted.
All the starters,
Then-
which
then-
tells you just how great that team was.
Now look at the bench players like Arvell Reese, Caden Curry. Those boys got drafted too. I mean, they were, they were, substitutes on that. They weren't starting on that team, but they played a lot. But man, all the starters on that national championship defense got drafted. I mean, wow. Seriously.
Yeah. Yeah, so guys, we pretty much hit that hour and 10, or hour and 11 now, so we can end it off today. And again, this video will be on YouTube. We will have it re-uploaded on YouTube so you guys can watch it. I don't know, again, there's been some issues with YouTube lately, so I don't know what's been the problem, but, Chris or Eric will try to look into it, fix it, and see if they can have this re-uploaded on YouTube so you guys can watch. But Sean, do you got any final thoughts before we head off?
No, hey, I just want to say thanks again for having me on. It was great to come on and kick it with you again like the old times. And anytime you need me, I'm here for you. So thanks again.
Yeah, and anytime you need me, buddy, if Nate can't make it, you got me. So I promise to God, I will be there for you right then and there.
Well, we'll have to get you on there. So,
Yeah, and I would love to have you and Nate and myself. And if James does come back, because like I said, I can understand when he's busy with college. I
Sure.
mean, I'm not going to lie.
But hey,
And Troy, I know you're glad you found the show. It's just that you would have found it on YouTube had there not been some problems. So they're going to re-upload this
Love.
on there as well.
Troy's such a good
Promise.
dude. Such a great dude.
Yeah.
I love Troy, man. Troy's just a good friend, great supporter of, great member of our community. And I love that dude. He's funny as hell too. But man,
Yeah. I love him.
Oh.
He's an awesome dude. But hey, guys, again, thank you for tuning in. Hit that like, share, subscribe, and turn on those notifications so you never ever miss an episode. I'll try to make sure that next time that hopefully YouTube will get things right this time. Because I finally managed to get my Wi-Fi fixed by getting a new box, and now I'm like, YouTube just decides, hey, you're going to have even more problems. So. So hopefully we get to see you guys later, and I promise you guys, you get to have Sean come back on at some other time as well. Whenever he's free, whenever he's ready, he can come back on here whenever, and you guys get to see pretty much a great re-edition of the Buckeye Lounge. And Sean, would you like to even do the Buckeye Lounge on Patreon? Because we have talked about that.
If I'm not, I got some stuff stuff going on right now. But if we get some time, maybe we can kick it around. I mean, or just
We can just do some pre-records. We can.
pre-records, or just do it maybe even if it's just once a month, or just do an interview every now and then. I'm up for. We'll talk about it. I'm up for about just about anything as long as my schedule permits it. So.
Yeah, understandable, man. So peace out, everybody. The Spectrum is out.